So options trading, it can seem daunting, right? All that Wall Street jargon. But hey, that's why we do these deep dives. Today we're cracking open Michael Sincere's Understanding Options.
We'll help make those complex concepts actually make sense. No more head scratching.
Exactly. And we're going beyond just the definitions, right? We'll see how buying and selling options actually work using Sincere's real-world examples, those aha moments.
Absolutely. Think of this as like a guided tour through options trading. By the end, you'll have a solid foundation.
Perfect. So first things first, what exactly is an option? Let's nail that down.
Okay, so an option gives you the right, but not the obligation to buy or sell something, a stock in this case, at a set price within a specific time.
The right, but not the obligation. That's interesting. So it's like a choice.
Exactly. Sincere uses this great analogy with a snow shovel. Imagine you find the perfect shovel right before winter, but, it might be a mild winter. Who knows?
Right. You don't want to be stuck with a shovel you don't need.
Exactly. So an option on that shovel would let you buy it at a set price, but only if you need it later, once you know if it's going to snow a ton.
So I'm not locked in. I can wait and see.
Yep. Heavy snow, everyone's scrambling for shovels, prices go up, no problem. You exercise your option, buy it at that pre-agreed price.
I see. But if it's a mild winter, I don't need the shovel. I just let the option expire.
You got it. You'd lose the small fee you paid up front, the premium, but hey, better than a useless shovel cluttering your garage.
Makes sense. So how does this shovel analogy translate to actual stocks? We're not buying winter gear on Wall Street.
Same concept. Let's say you're interested in a stock. You think it'll go up, but you're not 100% sure, right?
Sure, there's always that uncertainty.
An option gives you that right, but not the obligation to buy that stock at a specific price, called the strike price, and within a set time frame.
So if I think the price will go up, I can buy an option, like lock in a lower price in case I'm right.
Exactly. And if you think the price is going to tank, well, that's where put options come in.
Put options? Okay, break that down for me.
A put option gives you the right to sell a stock at a specific price, even if the market price drops below that, so you can profit from a decline.
So calls are for when you're bullish, puts are for when you're bearish on a stock. Got it.
You got it. Calls and puts, those are your two basic options, the building blocks, really.
All right, and Sincere mentions these key elements, right? In every options contract, what are those?
Right. We've got the strike price, the set buy or sell price, whether it's a call or a put. Then the expiration date. That's your deadline to exercise your option. And of course, the premium.
Okay, let's talk about that premium. How's that determined? Seems kind of mysterious.
Well, Sincere uses a handle acronym, TIV, time, intrinsic value, and volatility. Those are your big three.
TIV, I like it. Time, okay, that's pretty straightforward. The longer until the option expires, the more time the stock have to move, so the more the option's worth. What about intrinsic value?
So intrinsic value is all about how much your option is in the money right now, like how much profit it would have if you exercised it immediately.
Give me an example. I learn best that way.
Sure. Say a stock's trading at $60 and you have a call option with a strike price of $50. The intrinsic value is $10. That difference.
Okay, that's clear. So higher intrinsic value, higher the option's worth. Makes sense. Now, what about volatility? That seems a bit more unpredictable.
Volatility, yeah, it basically measures how much a stock's price swings around, like a wild roller coaster ride versus a smooth train journey. A stock with big price swings, that's high volatility, and it means higher option premiums.
So it's like insurance, right? A sports car, more likely to get into an accident, has higher premiums than a minivan.
Exactly. Higher the risk, higher the premium. It's pricing in the potential for those big moves, good or bad.
Okay, one last thing before we move on to, actual option strategies. You mentioned a spread earlier. What's that all about?
Yeah. The spread is simply the difference between the bid price and the ask price. The bid is what someone's willing to pay for the option, and the ask is what someone's willing to sell it for.
Okay, so to buy, I pay the ask price. To sell, I receive the bid price. Simple enough. Anything else about spreads I should watch out for?
Well, the size of the spread can be a clue. A wide spread might mean the option isn't very liquid, not a lot of trading going on, makes it trickier to buy or sell.
So narrower spreads are better, more action, easier to trade. Got it.
Exactly.
All right, so we've got the option basics down. Calls, puts, premium spreads, the whole 9 yards. Ready to look at some specific strategies?
Let's do it. Let's dive into selling covered calls next. It's a good starting point, a bit more on the conservative side.
All right, so we've tackled those options basics, calls, puts, premiums, you name it. Now let's get into selling covered calls. This is where you actually start using options.
It is, and Sincere presents it as a more conservative strategy, like dipping your toes in the options pool.
A good way to put it. So it's all about generating income from stocks you already have. Not those wild swings, more like steady growth.
You got it. It's like collecting dividends, enhancing your returns on stocks you like, not about those massive risky bets.
Okay, so not for the adrenaline junkies, more like the slow and steady wins the race kind of investor.
Exactly. Think long term, solid companies you're comfortable holding.
Got it. So let's say I have some shares of a company, I like what they do. I'm curious about this whole covered call thing. How does it actually work?
Okay, so first step, picking the right stock. You want something relatively stable, not prone to those wild price swings. Remember, we're aiming for predictability.
And not those buzzy tech stocks that are all over the news up and down every day.
Nope, none of those. You want a company with a good track record, solid earnings, something you'd be okay holding, even if the market takes a dip.
Makes sense. Okay, found my stable stock. What's next?
Next, you choose a strike price and a premium you're happy with. Remember, you're selling the right for someone to buy your shares at that specific strike price.
So if the stock goes above that price, they can exercise their option and I have to sell, even if it keeps going up.
Right, that's the commitment you're making. So you got to be comfortable with that strike price, even if you might miss out on bigger gains.
I see. Trade-offs, trade-offs. So I get that upfront premium, which is nice, but I limit my potential profit too.
You got it. It's finding that balance, risk and reward. Decent premium, but a strike price that aligns with your overall view of the stock.
Right. Not getting too greedy, I guess. So how do I pick a good strike price? Is there a rule of thumb?
Well, usually you'd go slightly above the current market price. Like, Sincere uses the example of a stock trading at $40. You might sell a covered call with a strike price of $42, a little cushion.
Okay, that makes sense. And the premium, how's that figure determined?
Same factors we talked about before, time, intrinsic value, volatility. The further out of the money your strike price is, well, the lower the premium will be. Less chance the option gets exercised, you see.
So if I set the strike price way above the current price, I get a smaller premium. Okay, it's all about that sweet spot, huh?
Yeah, a premium you're happy with and a strike price that matches your gut feeling about the stock.
Gut feeling. Okay, so we've got stock, strike price, premium figured out. What about the expiration date? How do I choose that?
Another key decision. Shorter expirations, well, they mean faster time decay. Works in your favor as the seller. Remember the melting ice cube?
Oh yeah, time is literally money and options. The closer we get to that date, the less the option's worth, even if things are moving in the right direction.
Exactly. So shorter expirations, they can be tempting. If you're confident about the stock, you want to capture that time decay quickly.
But I also need to make sure the stock has enough time to actually reach my strike price, right?
You got it. It's a balancing act. Your outlook, how fast you think the stock will move, and how much time decay you want to grab. Lots to consider.
Okay, let's say I've done my homework and I sell my covered call. Now what? How do I manage this thing?
All right, well, there are three basic scenarios. Stock price goes up, it goes down, or just kind of hangs out, stays flat.
All right, let's start with the good news. Stock goes up. What happens?
Price goes above your strike price. Well, the buyer of your option will likely exercise it. Buy your shares, you keep the premium, any profit up to that strike price, but you miss out on anything beyond that.
That trade-off again. Limited profit, but hey, I've got that premium cushion, so some downside protection.
You could say that. It's a trade-off, yeah.
Okay, so what if the stock price drops? Not what I want, but got to be prepared.
Well, if it drops below your purchase price, yeah, you'll have a loss on your stock, but you still keep that premium. Might offset some of that pain.
Okay, some insurance then, like a buffer.
Yep, think of it that way.
And lastly, what if the stock just sits there? Doesn't move much at all?
That's the dream scenario for a covered call seller. Option expires worthless, you keep the entire premium, you still own your shares, sell another covered call, rinse and repeat.
It sounds pretty appealing, gotta admit. But gotta ask, there's gotta be some risks to this whole covered call thing, right? Can't all be smooth sailing.
Of course, of course. Biggest risk, the stock price takes a nosedive. Plummets, you're holding those shares at a loss. And that premium you got might not make up for it.
So picking the right stock is crucial, something you believe in, even in a downturn, not just chasing the latest hot stock tip.
Exactly. It's about a long-term view, conservative approach, sacrificing some potential upside for, well, for that steady income.
Okay, so being realistic about expectations, what other risks should I keep in mind?
Another one, the opposite. Stock price shoots up way past your strike price. You miss out on those big gains because, well, you're obligated to sell at that lower price. Opportunity cost, they call it.
Ah, I see. So if I think a stock's going to be the next big thing, maybe covered calls aren't the way to go?
Probably not. This strategy is better for stocks you think will move slowly or moderately up, not those rockets to the moon.
All right, so realistic expectations, got it. So we've covered how covered calls work, the pros and cons. Let's get into the nitty-gritty, actually doing it. How does this all work, start to finish?
Sure. Once you've done your research, picked your stock, your strike price, your premium, and the expiration date, you got to place an order with your broker.
Okay, so online broker, options trading section, I'm assuming.
Most of them have that, yeah. You pick the stock, the type of option in this case, a call, the expiration date, and your chosen strike price.
Those key components, right? Can't forget those.
You got it. Then you specify your selling to open a covered call. Enter how many contracts you want to sell, usually matches the shares you own.
Right, each contract is for 100 shares, so I have 200 shares, I could sell 2 contracts. Makes sense.
Exactly. And remember, always a good idea to use limit orders with options. Gives you more control.
Limit orders, yep. Set my price, no surprises.
Right. Once your order's in, the brokerage will execute it when a buyer pops up, willing to pay your price.
So I place my order, they find a buyer, and I just sit back and watch the money roll in.
Well, not quite. Gotta stay active, monitor your position, might need to adjust your strategy along the way.
Like that rolling thing I've heard about.
Exactly. Stock price moves against you. Might want to buy back your options, sell a new one with a different strike price or expiration date. Manage that risk. We'll talk more about those adjustments later.
Okay, noted. Now, one last thing I'm curious about. What if the buyer of my option, they decide they want to buy my shares before the expiration date?
Ah, good question. That brings us to exercise and assignment.
Okay, let's unpack those. Exercise, what does that even mean in options world?
Exercising an option, it basically means activating it, putting it into play. So the buyer of your call, they exercise. They're saying, I want those shares at the agreed upon price right now.
Okay, so they're making their move. And assignment, that's the seller side of things.
Yep. When a call option is exercised, the seller, you in this case, you're assigned the obligation to sell those shares at that strike price.
So even if I'm not ready to sell, if they exercise, I have to.
That's right. It's part of the deal when you sell a covered call. But hey, don't worry. We'll dive deeper into all those exercise and assignment mechanics later. You'll be prepared.
Perfect. Covered a lot today. Options basics, selling covered calls. Next up, those advanced strategies you mentioned.
You got it. Get ready to step it up a notch.
Okay, we've covered a ton of ground. Options 101, selling covered calls, all that good stuff. But now it's time to level up, get a little more advanced.
That's right. Time to explore those strategies for potentially amplifying gains. We're talking about buying calls.
This is where things get a little more exciting, right? More potential for bigger wins.
Absolutely. Buying calls allows you to, well, control a larger chunk of stock with a smaller investment. It's all about leverage.
Right, leverage. That's a word you hear a lot on Wall Street. So with calls, I'm not buying the shares outright, just the right to buy them.
Exactly. You're paying for the potential. Think of it like this. Say a stock's at $50. You buy a call option, strike price of $55, costs you $2 per share.
Okay, so I'm investing $200 since each contract's 100 shares. Got it.
Right. Now, if that stock climbs to $65 before your option expires, you exercise your option, buy at $55, then sell immediately at $65, profit of $10 to share.
So my $200 turns into a cool $1,000, 500% return. Not bad. But gotta ask, what if the stock doesn't cooperate, doesn't go up?
Ah, there's the risk. If the stock price doesn't go above your strike price, well, your option expires worthless. You lose your premium, the whole thing.
So higher risk, higher reward. Makes sense. Compared to covered calls, this is definitely more speculative.
You got it. It's a bet on the stock making a significant move. Upwards, of course.
Okay, so if I'm thinking about buying calls, what kind of stocks should I be looking at? What's the right fit for this strategy?
Well, unlike covered calls where you want that steady, stable stock, buying calls is all about finding those stocks with explosive potential, the ones ready to take off.
Ah, so not the slow and steady. I need to find the potential rock stars of the stock market.
Exactly. Look for stocks with strong momentum, positive news, maybe a company on the verge of a big breakthrough. You need to identify those potential high flyers.
Okay, so do my research, understand the company, and really assess its growth potential before jumping in. No more playing it safe.
Exactly. Buying calls, it requires a good understanding of the market, what drives stock prices, those bigger trends.
Got it. So let's say I've done my digging, and I think I've found a stock with that explosive potential. How do I pick the right call option? Lots of choices out there.
Remember those key elements we talked about? Strike price, expiration date, premium, all super important when buying calls.
Right, right. Can't forget those. Strike price first. How do I approach that when I'm buying calls?
Think about how much you think the stock will rise and how much risk you can stomach. In the money calls, where the strike price is below the current price, they're safer but more expensive.
Because they already have some value, right? That intrinsic value we talked about.
Exactly. Then there's out of the money calls, where the strike price is above the current price. Cheaper but riskier. If the stock doesn't move enough, you're out of luck.
That balance again. Higher risk, higher potential reward. Lower risk, maybe smaller profits.
You got it. And then, of course, there's the expiration date. Gotta choose a date that makes sense for your outlook on the stock. Think it'll jump quickly. Shorter term option might be the way to go.
But if I'm thinking long term, I go for an option that expires further out. Gives the stock more time to reach its potential.
Exactly. Matching the time frame of your option to your investment thesis, that's key.
Makes sense. And of course, the premium. Can't forget that. What affects that when I'm buying calls?
Same old factors: time, intrinsic value, and volatility. More time until expiration, more valuable the option is. Higher intrinsic value, pricier the option. And remember, high volatility, that means higher premiums.
It's all connected. Okay, I think I'm getting the hang of picking the right call option. Now, let's say I've bought my call and the stock price is going up, just like I hoped. How do I know when to sell? When to lock in those profits?
That's the million-dollar question. That's where the art of options trading comes in. One thing to remember, options, they're a wasting asset. That time value, it's always ticking away, like a melting ice cube.
Right, that melting ice cube. Can't let it melt completely before I make my move.
Exactly. Unlike stocks, you can't just hold on to an option forever. It has a deadline, that expiration date. You need an exit strategy.
So even if the stock's going up, I might want to sell my call before it expires, grab those profits while there's still some time value left.
You got it. It's all about maximizing your gains and managing that risk. Can't get too greedy.
Okay, so don't get emotionally attached to the option. Have a plan and stick to it.
Sincere talks a lot about setting profit targets and using stop-loss orders to protect yourself. Essential tools for any options trader.
Profit target, that's the price I'm happy with. Take my money and run. Stop loss, that's to limit my losses if things go south. Got it.
You got it. So we've covered a lot, from those options basics to covered calls, now buying calls. It's a whole world out there.
It is. Any final words of wisdom for our listeners who are starting their options journey?
Absolutely. First thing, options trading, it's complex. It takes time and effort to really get it. No shortcuts.
It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. Definitely takes knowledge, skill, and a lot of practice.
Exactly. Approach it with a mindset of continuous learning. Sincere's book is a great start, but keep exploring. Practice with a paper trading account first. Get comfortable before risking real money.
Right. Education, practice, manage that risk. Solid advice.
And never invest more than you can afford to lose. Options trading can be rewarding, but gotta be smart about it. Disciplined.
Great advice. Thanks for guiding us through this options deep dive. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Remember, options trading, it's a journey. Always learning, always adapting.
That's it for this deep dive into the world of options trading. We hope you've learned a lot from our exploration of Michael Sincere's Understanding Options. Remember, stay curious, keep learning, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.